FLEPRU National ORC Conference here in beautiful Orlando, Florida. Got the distinct pleasure of having Jason Brewer from RILA with me today. Jason, your role at RILA, really important, right? Crafting messaging.
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything. Do a little communications and a lot of state government affairs. And on organized retail crime, that's been a combination of both, because we've been doing a lot of work at the state level and obviously doing a lot of work with the media over the last couple of years.
Right. First time at Clear.
It is my first time at Clear.
What's your first impression?
Love it. It's a lot of energy here, great synergy between law enforcement who are passionate about this issue, and obviously the best of retail asset protection. So it's a great event, and we're excited to sort of merge Clear with RILA next year and invite the Clear community to our Retail Asset Protection Conference in Denver.
Big announcement here at 2023 Clear. Next year, 2024, Clear and RILA are partnering for their conference in April down in Dallas, Texas. More information to come about that. ORC, you know, for the last 20 years has definitely evolved. You know, I remember back in the day, everybody kind of looked at it like, whoa, what's this ORC thing? What do you mean they're organizing and stealing and everything? And now we have a real public safety concern on all fronts, right? We have these groups that are going into stores. A lot of times there's violence now. They're clearing off shelves so our consumers don't have the goods that they need to survive every day. How important is messaging around all of this? I know, you know, back in the day, if you saw an ORC case on TV, it meant, you know, if it bleeds, it leads, right? But nowadays, it's definitely a big problem, and it's starting to get a lot more traction in the media. How important from a retail aspect is it to message this problem properly?
It's very important, and, you know, and I think let's start with the good news. You know, I would say 2-3 years ago when we were talking with prosecutors and attorneys general about this issue, a lot of them said, what is ORC? What exactly is this? Today we don't get it all. Attorneys general all over the country understand this problem. A lot of them have stood up task forces with government resources to help fight the problem. We've had a great partnership with the National District Attorneys Association, and so are working with frontline prosecutors all over the country on cases. So there has been a sea change in what people know and understand about the problem.
Right.
But I think it's always going to be important that we emphasize the human impact of the problem, and that this isn't just a dollars and cents issue. Obviously, you know, it is a dollars and cents issue in the sense that
there's tax revenue, there's profitability, there's shrinkage, bottom line performance issues, as we've seen recently with CEOs actually messaging this out during their investor calls and such. So some of it is a dollar and cents issue, but in the end, it's hurting consumers, communities, you name it.
Yeah, you know, when employees are put in harm's way, when they feel scared or threatened, it obviously is a huge problem for retailers. And when a store closes in a community, let's be honest, when a store closes, it's usually in a community that can't afford to lose it. You know, if it's a grocery store, a pharmacy, very oftentimes.
And we're seeing that right now.
You are seeing it, and you know, when that happens, there can be a food desert type situation. So it really does matter to communities, and I think probably the one thing that really is insidious that is important to talk about is the tentacles that organized retail crime often has into other really bad kinds of crime. And it's very rare that they are just involved with stealing goods and reselling. It's very often that they are using the proceeds from that to fund drug trafficking, human trafficking, weapons trafficking, other really bad things in the community. So to the extent someone doesn't care about a big retailer being stolen from, you ought to care about what that's funding in your community, because it's funding things that aren't good.
You mentioned it, human trafficking, right? Some of the concerns evolve around that, whereas the participants that are actually doing the boosting, the theft, they may be trafficked individuals, or they may be somehow being threatened, right?
Or they have an addiction. They're homeless. You know, they're a vulnerable population, and it's easy to prey on them.
Absolutely.
So yeah, there are plenty of folks who, whether they're literally being trafficked or they're suffering from an addiction, you know, they're being used to be boosters, and it's the sort of bigger syndicates that are profiting from
Sure, absolutely. Those organized groups, there's a top of that pyramid, right? So one of the important points that I think we should call out about the partnership next year with the conferences, it's clear, it's real, and it's the District Attorneys Association, right?
Yes. So we forged a partnership a little over a year and a half ago with the National Attorneys Association to share information, share best practices. We're in the month of September and sort of in October, we're doing roughly 80 store walks with prosecutors from all over the country to give them some kind of things retailers are doing, into the technology that's being used, the data that's being collected, things that they can use to build cases. So we're doing a lot with that partnership, and we're really hopeful that the Asset Protection Conference next April in Dallas will be a place where the entire ecosystem can come together. Where aggressive prosecutors, dedicated law enforcement, and best of the best in resale asset protection will be there. We'll all be under one roof. So we think it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, one of the things that we're investing here, both law enforcement and retail, I can tell you, from a district attorney or a U.S. attorney standpoint, bringing them out and actually showing them, walking them through the processes and how all of this comes together is really, really important, because a lot of times all they get is a witness statement, report investigation, and they've got a case out of that. And one time I can tell you that talking to law enforcement in the early is like, what? What's going on? So that you bring those in and have that collaborative advance, all three parties together, showing them and communicating and working together, and once again engaging, right? Just like we do here. So engaging collaboration, that building that coalition is a tremendous difference in our efforts.
Yeah, we talk a lot about, and even for NASA layoff, it's 20% of the folks who are doing 8% of the ceiling, right? And so focusing on that 10% is super important. And getting law enforcement, prosecutors, and asset protection professionals on the same page. What do we do? How do we do it? How do we work together on these cases? That's going to make a huge difference.
Sure, absolutely. Jim, thanks for joining today. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Appreciate what we're for next year. That's just unbelievable. I can see how it comes together. Monday, the work starts. So pulling all this stuff together. So we really appreciate that relationship. And you all brought him out to actually see what's going on this year at the Clear Fleet Proof Conference. So we